Melos. Melos was enraged. He determined he would definitely get rid of the cruel, ruthless king. Melos hadn't had to do with politics. He was only a herdsman in a village. He spent every day playing the flute and taking care of sheep. Yet he was more sensitive to ruthlessness than other people. He left the village before dawn, got across the fields and hills, and reached the city of Syrinx, which was 40 kilometers away from his village. He had no father, no mother, no wife, but a 16-year-old shy sister, who was going to marry an honest herdsman in their village in the very near future. Melos came to the town to get her wedding clothes and food for the feast. He had a childhood friend, Salanantius, who was a stonemason in the city. He also planned to visit his old friend, expecting to have pleasant talk after a long time separation. At first, he bought things for the wedding, and then he walked along the avenue in the capital. While walking, he noticed there was something weird with the air in the town. It was so quiet and quite different from what it had been 2 years before. It was after sunset, so it was already dark. Even so, he felt too lonely around there. Melos became uneasy. When he came here 2 years ago, he had enjoyed the city's lively atmosphere. People had been singing until midnight. He asked a young man what had happened. The man shook his head and said nothing. He asked an old man Hemet next on the street and asked him the same question with emphasis. At first, the old man didn't answer either. Melos shook the man's shoulders with his hands and asked again. The old man answered a bit in a low voice, as if he was afraid of being heard by others. The king kills people. Why does he kill people? He asked. The king believes everyone was harboring an evil thought. Has he killed many people? Yes, he has. At first, he killed his sister's husband, and his heir, and then his sister, next her children, then his wife, and his right-hand man. Oh, what a terrifying story. Is the king deranged? No, he isn't. He said he can't believe others. Recently he has doubt about his subjects' minds. He ordered those who lived in a showy way to offer a hostage. If they refuse it, they will be crucified. 6 people have been killed by now. Melos got furious. He is an appalling king. I won't let him get away alive. He was a straightforward person. He plodded along and entered the castle with his burden he had bought on his back. He was soon caught by the patrols and questioned. They found that he had a dagger in his inside pocket, and it turned into a big uproar. He was brought in front of the king. What did you intend to do with this dagger? Answer me, the tyrant Dionysius pressed for an answer quietly but stately. The king's face was pale and his brows were knitted deeply. I'll save the people in this city from you, a tyrant, Melos answered without disconcertment. Will you? The king smiled with pity. You are a hopeless fool. You don't understand my loneliness. Stop speaking. Melos launched into a furious counter-argument. It is the most shameful vice to doubt people's minds. You even doubt your people's loyalty. You are the one who showed me harboring suspicions is the right readiness. One can never depend on what people think in mind. People are self-interest personified. You never believe others, the tyrant calmed down and muttered with a sigh, I wish I had a peaceful life. What do you want from peace? Do you want peace to protect your throne? Melos objected to ridicule scorn. How dare you say so while you've been killing many innocent people? Shut up. You, a low-born fellow, the king raised his face and said, you can speak of clear things, but I can see through people's minds. I won't accept your canned apology when you get nailed in a crucifixion. Oh, you talk knowingly. You think too highly of yourself. I'm determined toady and never to beg for my life. But, he looked down on his feet, and hesitate to say a bit, if you want to show your kindness to me, give me a 3-day stay before my execution. I want to let my sister marry, let my sister and her fiancé have a wedding ceremony. Then I'll come back here within 3 days. Ridiculous, the king laughed low and hoarsely, you're telling an outrageous lie. Are you saying a bird which you set free will come back again? Yes, it will, Melos insisted frantically, I'll keep my word. Give me a 3-day stay. My sister has been waiting for me. If you can't believe me, I'll leave my best friend here as a hostage instead of me. He is a stonemason in this town. If I don't return here by the sunset on the 3rd day, you can execute him. I beg you for my sake. Hearing this, the king chuckled to himself with a brutal thought, how impudent he is. I know he'll never return here. I'll pretend to be taken and set him free and execute his friend on the 3rd day. I'll say to his friend with sad face, this is why I can't believe people. I want to show my opinion to those in the world who profess to be an honest person. The king said to Melos, I'll grant permission to you. Bring your scapegoat here and come back by the sunset on the 3rd day. If you are late, I'll kill your scapegoat without fail. Return here a little late, and you'll be forgiven forever. What? What did you tell me? Ha ha. If you want to survive, come here late. I know what you are thinking, mind. He stumped his feet in vexation. He didn't want to say anything to the king anymore. His childhood friend Selenontius was brought into the castle at midnight. They met each other for the first time in 2 years in front of the brutal king. He told his friend the whole story. Selenontius said nothing, but nodded and hugged him tightly. That was the way between best friends. Selenontius was bounded hand and foot with a rope, and Melos started immediately for his village. It was early in summer, the sky was heavily sprinkled. He hurried and hurried back to the village all the night without getting a wink of sleep to cover 40 kilometers, and finally reached there the next morning. The sun was already high above him. The villagers started working in the field. His 16-year-old sister was taking care of sheep instead of her brother. She was surprised to see his tottering steps. He was exhausted. She asked him, "What's the matter with you?" "Nothing." He tried to smile at her. "I still have something to do in the city, so I have to go back there again soon. Your wedding ceremony will be held tomorrow. The sooner, the better." She blushed to hear it. You look happy. I've bought you beautiful clothes for your wedding. Go and tell the villagers that your wedding is tomorrow. Melos staggered along the road and got back home. He set up an altar and prepared for the wedding. After that, he fell down on his bed and fell into a deep sleep. It was evening when he woke up. He hurried to her sister's fiancé and asked him to have a wedding the following day for some reason. Her fiancé shook his head and said that he hadn't prepared anything for the wedding. He wanted to have it after the harvest of grapes. But Melos insisted he couldn't wait and said, "Tomorrow is the only day for me for the wedding." They kept arguing until dawn. Melos finally talked her fiancé into having the wedding the following day. The wedding was held in broad daylight. When they were just about to finish swearing the marriage in front of the attendants, the sky was covered with the dark clouds. Soon it began to rain, and then poured down. Those who were present at the wedding felt something ominous, but soon they enjoyed the wedding party until midnight, drinking, singing and dancing in his small house. Melos, his face was full of smiles, forgot the promise between the king and him for a while. He wanted to keep living a happy life there with those great people. He wanted to stay at his house as long as possible. But he strained his energies. Thought he had enough time until the next day's sunset. He made up his mind to leave for the town after having a nap. It would become light until then. He said to his sister, "Congratulations on your marriage." "Well, I've been tired and need to take a nap. After waking up, I have to leave for the town as I have important business there. Even if I'm not with you, you have a kind husband now. As you know, what I hate most is to doubt people and tell a lie. Never keep a secret between you and your husband. That's what I want to tell you. I'm so proud of you." She smiled and nodded. Then he patted her husband on the shoulder. "I have nothing valuable but my dear sister and dozens of sheep. I'll give it all to you. You are now Melos's brother-in-law. You should be proud of it." Melos exchanged greetings with the villagers who attended the party, smiling at each other, and left from the party to sleep at his sheep pen. Soon he slept like a log. He woke up in twilight next day. Melos jumped out of bed. "Oh no! Have I overslept? No, I have still enough time, haven't I? If I leave here right now, I'll get to the castle in time I promised. I'll show the king the people's truthfulness and credibility. After that I'll be crucified with a smile." Melos took his time and started to get dressed. The rain seemed to let up. Melos shook his arms with a swishing sound and started running in the rain like an arrow. "I am going to be killed this evening. I'm running to be killed. I'm running to save my friend, who is my scapegoat. I'm running to defeat the king's twisted nature. I have to keep running, and I'll be killed. Protect my honor even though I am young. Farewell, my hometown." It was so painful for him to leave there. He tended to stop a few times. He encouraged himself in a loud voice. Across the fields, through the forests, when he reached the neighboring village, it stopped raining and the sun rose high and it began to get hot. He wiped the sweat with his fist. I'll be all right as I've already got here. I don't regret giving up my hometown anymore. My sister will be happy with her husband. I don't have anything to worry about. All I have to do is go straight to the castle. I have enough time, so I don't need to hurry. I can take time to walk. He took back his happy-go-lucky air and started singing with a nice voice. When he reached the middle of the route, an unexpected disaster befell him. He abruptly stopped. Because of yesterday's heavy rainfall, the source of the river flooded, and the muddy stream flew to the downstream widely and swiftly. It carried away the bridge across it, and its bridge girder was knocked and shattered into pieces. He was petrified in dumb surprise. He looked around and cried as loudly as he could. But there was no boat, nor ferryman there. The swelling stream was becoming like the sea. Melos couldn't suppress his tears, rose his hands up, and appealed to God. "Oh, would you pacify the furious flood? The time has been passing quickly. It's already noon. If I can't get to the castle by the time the sun sets, my best friend will be killed for me." The muddy stream swelled more, the waves were surging. He had no time to kill. He made up his mind to swim across the river. "Heaven be my witness. I'll show my strong might of love and faithfulness that defeats the muddy stream." Melos plunged into a river and fought with waves which tossed and raged like 100 monster serpents. He put all his strength into his arms and pushed his way across the surging, swirling current. His furious battle against the water might make God take pity on him. He at last clung to the trunk of a tree and got to the opposite shore. Thanks, he shook himself dry like a horse, and then hurried forward. There was no time to lose. The sun was about to sink in the west. Wheezing, he finished climbing the mountain pass and soothed his breast when a gang of bandits suddenly leaped out. "Wait there. What are you doing?" "I have to go back to the castle before sunset." "Let me go." "No, you can't. Leave everything you have here." "I have nothing with me except my life, which I promised to give to the king." "That's exactly what we want, your life." "You want my life? That means you were waiting for me here under the order of the king." Without saying a word, they raised their heavy sticks all together. He ducked and covered, swiftly attacked one of them, and snatched his stick. "Sorry, but it is for my justice." He assaulted fiercely, knocking 3 men down. While the rest of them were frightened, he ran down the pass without stopping. He was so tired under the scorching sun in the afternoon that he felt dizzy several times. He pulled himself together and staggered a few steps. At last, his knees trembled and he fell down on a field. He couldn't stand up again. He looked up at the sky and cried with frustration. "Ah, Melos." A true brave man, Melos, who swam across the muddy stream, knocked down 3 bandits, ran like a shot to come here. "What a shame, I'm too tired to move here." He scolded himself. "Your best friend believes you, and will be killed soon. You are a notorious, unbelievable man." that would be playing right into the king's hands. His strength had already withered, and he couldn't move forward even for an inch. He lay down on the grass. When you are tired physically, your spirit will also be damaged. What does that matter? An ill-natured mind, which was unsuitable for a brave man like him, grew. I made every effort. I had no intention of breaking the promise. I call heaven witness. I tried to do it as hard as I could. I am not a faithless man. I would cut my breast to show my red heart if I could, the heart which is moving only with love and truth. But I used up every ounce of energy at this serious moment. What an unlucky man I am. People will surely laugh at me. They will also laugh at my family. I deceived my friend. Sinking to the ground on the way is the same as doing nothing from the beginning. What's the difference? Oh, this may be my destiny. Selenantius, forgive me. You've always believed me. I've never deceived you. We've been really best friends. We've never had suspicious black clouds in our minds. At this moment, you must be waiting for me single-mindedly. Thanks, Selenantius. You've thoroughly believed me. This is more than I can bear. The sincerity between friends can be the treasure we should be proud of most in the world. Selenantius, I ran. I didn't have a speck of intention to deceive you. Believe me. I hurried to come here. I passed through the bandits' enclosure and ran down the pass without stopping. Nobody but I did. Don't hope more time. Leave me alone. Anyway, I've lost. I am a slacker. Laugh at me. The king whispered into my ear if I came late, he would save me, but the scapegoat would be killed instead of me. I hated his meanness. Now I'm doing as he told me. All got here late. The king will jump to a hasty conclusion, laugh at me, and release me. If things will go there, I'll rather die than suffer like this. I'll be a traitor forever. I am the most disgraceful kind of man in the world. Selenantius, I'll die. I'll kill myself with you. I'm sure you are the only one who believes me. Well, that may be also my self-satisfaction. Or I would rather survive as a villain. I have my house in the village. I have tens of sheep, too. I never think my sister and her husband will expel me from the village. What trifle things justice, honesty, and love are. People kill someone in order to live themselves. That's the established rule of mankind. I begin to feel all the things that are ridiculous of me. I'm a disgraceful traitor. I don't care what'll happen anymore. Alas! He stretched out his legs and arms, and dropped off into a doze. Melos happened to hear the sounds of water flowing. He gently raised his head, and strained to hear it. It sounded like the water flow, which was just under his feet. He staggered to his feet, and found it gushing from a crack in a rock. He stooped to cup water from the crack, drank a gulp, and gave a long sigh of relief. He felt he'd woken up from a dream. I can walk. Let's go back to the castle. Recovering from physical exhaustion gave him a slight hope, a hope to fulfill his duty, to kill himself for maintaining his honor. The sinking sun made leaves and branches around him glitter. There's still some time left before sunset. The man at the castle is patiently waiting for me without any doubt, quietly expecting me coming back. He believes me. My life is not an important matter. I can't be self-centered, such as I'll make an apology with my life for what I've done. I must reward him for his confidence in me. That's the only thing I must do. Run, Melos. He believes me. He believes me. That temptation by the devil must be a dream, a nightmare. Forget it. When you get exhausted all over, you happen to dream such a nightmare. Melos, that's not your disgrace. You are still a true brave man. You've got to stand up and run again. How lucky I am. I can die as a man of honor. Oh, the sun is setting rapidly. Stop it, Zeus. I've been an honest man since I was born. Let me die as an honest man. Melos ran like the wind, pushed his way through the crowd on the street, rushed through a group who were amidst of their feast in the field and made them dumbfounded, gave a dog a kick, and jumped over a brook. He ran 10 times faster than the gradually setting sun. The moment he passed through a group of travelers, he caught an ominous conversation. That man must have been sent to the gallows by now. Oh, that man. I'm running desperately in order to save that man. Don't let him die. Hurry up, Melos. Don't be late. You should show the king the power of love and faith. I don't care about my appearance. Melos was now almost stark naked. He couldn't breathe. He spit up blood a few times. Look. I can see the tower in the distant sea. At last he saw the tower in Syracuse, which was lit up with the setting sun. Oh, Melos. He heard a groan on the wind. Who are you? He asked without stopping running. I'm your friend Selenuntius's apprentice, running after Melos. The young stonemason said to him, It's too late. It's no use. Please stop running. Yotsun save his life anymore. Yes, I can. The sun hasn't set yet. It's about time my master is executed. You are late. I will hold a grudge against you. You should have come a little earlier, a little bit earlier. Yes, I can. The sun hasn't set yet. He was staring at the big evening sun with a heartbreaking feeling. He hadn't a choice but to run. Stop it. Stop running. Your life is important now. My master always believed you. He was calm even when he was taken on the gallows. When the king met a few of your friend, he said that Melos would surely come. It seemed like my master had a firm belief. That's why I'm running. I'm running because he believes me. It isn't important whether I'll be in time or not. Lives don't matter either. I'm running for more dreadfully great thing for some reason. Follow me. Alas. Are you getting mad? If you insist, run as hard as you can. You may just possibly be in time to get there. You'd better run. The sun hasn't set yet. He gathered all his energy and ran. He didn't have the slightest idea in his head. He had nothing to think about. He kept running as if he was being pulled by some unknown great power. When the sun was half sinking above the horizon and its afterglow was about to vanish, he dashed into the execution site like the wind. He was just on time. Stop it. Don't kill that man. Melos has come back. As I promised, I've come back. He cried with a loud voice to the crowd at the execution site, but actually only a hoarse voice came out of his mouth, so nobody noticed he had come back. The cross had already been prepared, and Salonantius, bounded with rope, was about toe raised. Watching that, Melos screwed up the last of his courage, elbowed and pushed his way through the crowd as he had pushed his way across the muddy stream. He shouted, "I've come back, executioner. It's me who should be hanged, Melos." Imthianuho made him the scapegoat, he shouted to the utmost with a hoarse voice. When he finally reaches the cross, Salonantius was gradually being raised. Melos clung to his friend's feet. His unexpected appearance caused a stir among the crowd. They shouted each and every mouth, "Bravo, well done. Let them go." Salonantius was unbound. "Salonantius," said Melos with tears in his eyes, "hit me on my cheek with all your might. I once dreamed a nightmare on my way back. Unless you hit me, I have no right to hug you. Hit me." Salonantius nodded, as if he understood everything, and hit him on his right cheek with a loud sound, which sounded through the execution site, then gently smiled at him. "Hit me, Melos. Hit me on my cheek as hard as I did. During the 3 days, I ain't had a doubt of you. I doubted you a bit for the first time in my life. Unless you hit me, I have no right to hug you either. Hit me." Melos hit his friend on his cheek with a hum of his own. "Thanks, my friend," they said unanimously, hugged each other tightly, and cried bitterly with joy. The sounds of sobbing were heard among the crowd. The king was staring at the two behind the crowd. The blood rushed to his face. Soon he silently approached them and said, "Your wish to defeat me has come true. You too won. Belief was no empty delusion. Please let me join you. Please accept my wish and let me join you." The crowd burst into cheers. "Hooray! Long live the king!" A girl handed a scarlet cloak to Melos. He was embarrassed. His friend made him notice that he was standing there without a stitch of clothing. "You are stark naked, Melos. You'd better put on that cloak. This pretty girl feels frustrated because of your naked body being seen by people." The brave man blushed with shame. The original author is Osamu Dazai.